and welcome. You have found segment 11 of our ongoing podcast series, America Under Fire, The Old Guy Speaks. This segment is called the Tytler Cycle. I'd like to describe one of many cycles people have come to see in human events and history. To begin, let's recall a much cited quote. When Ben Franklin was asked after a session of the U.S. Constitutional Convention, "What kind of government have you given us?" he replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." Mr. Franklin knew whereof he spoke. And for purposes of this discussion, I'll be using the terms republic and democracy interchangeably, because they both mean the choosing of government leaders by the people, rather than a monarchy or authoritarian or totalitarian or a dictatorship type of government. And so we move on to the Tytler Cycle. Tytler spelled Tytler, Tytler Cycle. And we hope to display a graphic of it as I speak. Alexander Fraser Tytler was a Scottish historian who served as professor of universal history at the University of Edinburgh. Born in 1747, he was a contemporary of our American founding fathers and is often credited as predicting the fall of America. Based on his study of history, Tytler's model states that a democracy, also meaning republic now for our purposes, a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. Vladimir Lenin and others have supported that conclusion. And here's why. A democracy can only exist until the majority discovers that it can vote itself largesse out of the public treasury. After that, the majority votes for the candidate promising the most benefits, with the result that the democracy collapses because of the ensuing loose fiscal policy. Remember those numbers from segment 2? $34 trillion of official debt, 100 to 200 trillion of actual debt. Teitler said that the average age of the world's greatest civilizations from the beginning of human history has been about 200 years. He maintained that during those 200 years, these nations always progressed through the following 9-step sequence, which is generally displayed on a circular clock type face, type graphic, clock face graphic, with bondage at or near the 12 o'clock position. And we'll try to get that graphic up for you now. You can also Google the words Tytler Cycle to get it. Tytler starts with a nation in bondage, then moving from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to great courage, from courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, from selfishness to complacency, from complacency to apathy, from apathy to dependence, and from dependence back into bondage. Based on the Tytler cycle, where do you think America currently stands? I'm thinking we would currently be somewhere around the 8 or 9 o'clock position, having passed from a prosperous complacency into apathy, and now being tempted into a Marxist-fueled dependence on government largesse, which is the last step before entering back into bondage. Our challenge as Americans will be to break the cycle. One interesting thing that Teitler could not have foreseen, and this goes back in our discussion to earlier segments of the podcast series, modern technology is now introducing the potential for a global one-world bondage, which is being pushed hard by the UN and many other international organizations, including the World Economic Forum, the WEF, which has been a growing focal point of evil for decades now. Several formerly philanthropic foundations and other entities and individuals have also been duped into advocating worldwide bondage, something that Teitler could not have imagined. And that concludes our very brief treatment of the Tytler Cycle. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll come back soon for segment 12 of this series, which is entitled Immigration. Thank you.